Welcome.
Thanks.
Thank you again for being here.
It's okay. I'm sorry I was late.
That's all right. I should have reminded you last night, but had a sick child. So we were already kind of digging into it, but I don't know very much about you. And so if you just kind of want to maybe give, not who you are, but like what do you feel called to share about yourself and what your mission is and your passion?
Yeah.
And I'm getting to know you alongside this, everyone else watching and listening back to this.
Yep.
And welcome to Level Up with Rachel podcast. And again, this podcast is rooted back to self-love.
Right.
You know, where in your journey did that start? Maybe you not even realizing that it was self-love, but like, where did it, start and spark? Was it like a catastrophe? Was it a relationship ending? Was it a health thing? Those are like that's the main thing that I love to know about people's story, but anything else that you want to share about you?
So my name's Josh Townshend. I am just completing my undergraduate degree in psychology. I'm about to start my master's in psychology next year in health psychology. And I'm planning on going as far as clinical. So it's like a 5-year goal from here.
Wow.
I've got a really like extensive past as well. So I don't know I'm going to have some roadblocks and limitations in terms of the pathway to clinical, I think, but I'm trying to offset that as much as I can with like good grades and community involvement, and I'm running workshops with AOD and things like that. So like I got in trouble with the law a bit when I was younger, and I was ADHD, undiagnosed, until adulthood. So only 2 years ago was I first medicated for that. And so my interests are in attachment science, emotion, and addiction.
And how did you land there?
So because I was involved in, I started self-medicating with cannabis when I was like 13.
Okay.
And then I was involved in the sale and manufacture of different drugs. So like I went to prison for selling steroids, and I did a year in prison for that. I was involved in the sale of like Class C, like party pill type stuff. And because I had access to that kind of thing, I, at different points in my life, faced addiction on that kind of thing. I think through that and my ADHD diagnosis, I understood suddenly why I was drawn to drug use in different ways. And because I found that whatever I kind of hyperfixated on, I was really good at, even if that was illicit, it meant that I did things to extremes. And one of those was the sale of those substances. You know, when I did it really thoroughly, and it became like a career effectively. And I didn't know how to get out of that because I didn't feel like, I left school at 16. I didn't feel like I could study. I didn't feel like I could work a normal job. And so I felt like I found this thing I was good at that made huge amounts of money. And I was like, justified it to myself and minimized the harm I was doing, and just lived this kind of fake life for so long under the guise of like other jobs, made it look like I was working other jobs, but I wasn't. And I think as I got involved, I also had like back-to-back relationships from when I was 15. So some of them with overlap. And these relationships were so dysfunctional by the time they finished and I was telling myself that I was a good partner. I was telling myself, I knew the things I was doing that were wrong, but I was still telling myself that they were less of my responsibility than they were. And it wasn't until everything collapsed in my life in 2022 from a relational perspective and legal stuff, and just like my direction had to completely change, that I understood that something was wrong with me and the way that I was conducting myself in relationships and life as well. And so the culmination of those two big areas, really, like legal issues and relationship issues, forced me to review my life. And I'd always been interested in understanding psychology better. I studied it in 2007 at University of Canterbury, very briefly. But when I was 21, I didn't have the worldview or the knowledge or the even enough inspiration to actually stick to university. I went through a really bad breakup, like the most significant emotional event I would say I had been through in my life to date at that point.
At 21?
At 21, and it was just soul destroying for me. Like my partner at the time, we split up. She started dating someone else straight away, and she just effectively strung me along for a year saying she needed time, but was getting to know this guy and getting deeper into a relationship with him during that time. And so my self-worth took a huge hit over that year, and I came out of it not trusting women. I came out of it with an attitude that I was just going to keep one foot in, one foot out of every relationship that I came up against, because I was like, I don't know when they're going to leave me or when they're going to betray my trust. And I did that, I was in that repetitive cycle for almost my whole adult life up until a couple of years ago. And
the 1 foot in, 1 foot out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I destroyed every relationship that I had. I was, on paper, I was a good partner. Like I was thoughtful and caring and kind and, really integrated myself with their family and dedicated myself to time with them and things, but I wasn't honest, and I was just still keeping options open. I was, if things went wrong, if the relationship, we had big fights or whatever, my coping strategies were to distract myself with other people and go and socialise. And I was in one particular really abusive relationship where I had to get a protection order against her. And that was granted without notice. And it's something that, like, I don't think people take it as seriously when guys say that they had to do that.
Yeah.
Like, because it's not as common, obviously.
Yeah.
But, like, there's still so many people out there who firmly believe that I'm abusive, like, to this day, because of how much damage. No, there's obviously lots of different versions of it. And I understand, like, a lot of my behaviour was really abusive for a long time. But she's still out there really pushing that narrative, and there's a lot of people out there who firmly believe I am, despite the evidence of these kind of things like the protection order and that. And so that kind of thing, those kind of scenarios, the under recognition of male victims of abuse was one thing that I was like, I really want to understand this better. I want to know why these dynamics exist in society. I understand men are incredibly abusive and dangerous in relationships, like it's statistically completely outweighs, the latter. But I was so interested in understanding, like, relational psychology and social psychology, why we interact with each other the way we do at parties, and what it is about certain people that you're drawn to, and, like, what is healthy behavior, all these kind of things. And so when my life kind of collapsed in 2022 and I had to do this review, I thought, I was still very financially focused. Financial success was how I measured success at that point. And so I was like, how do I use my skills or my life experience to help people or to make money? So I'll get into coaching, so I'll become a coach. And then as I got into the coaching industry, I realized quite quickly that I was like, this isn't going to be enough for me. As much as there's money to be made here, I was, like, so hungry for more, like, actual knowledge and to really become an expert in that space. I wanted to know what, like, humankind had to offer in terms of the knowledge that existed out there. And I was like, I need to go and properly study, like actually study. And so enrolled in a psych diploma, got that done, turned it into a degree. That's what I'm doing now. And then I was like, where can I go with this? And I was like, for the first time in my life, I thought, I can maybe I could go all the way to clinical. And I realized that over the years, my imposter syndrome was really bad, like really bad. When I first started posting about anything like this, I was just like, it was so hard to hit post on everything because I was like, who am I to be saying this stuff?
Yeah.
Like, who is going to listen to this? Like, why would they think it matters what I have to say? And just over time and seeing the effects of people and getting that positive feedback, which is incredible from everyone who gives it to me, like, you know, this is amazing, just anything, just the thanks for a post, you know, with the impact it's had on them. I got to see that my actions were having a positive impact on people, that my advice meant something, that because I'd been there and done it, they were like, it carried weight. You know?
Vulnerability actually was your superpower.
Yes.
You've been avoiding in all relationships.
Yes, yeah,
but
absolutely.
This was, how I'm viewing this was your way of testing, you know, am I going to be chosen still? Yeah. And by these people commenting and saying, I see you, I feel this is validating. That's validating for you. Like, was that healing in a sense?
Unbelievably. Like you absolutely nailed it. Like, the vulnerability is the thing that everyone is afraid of showing, right? We're all just like, oh, you know, and even if it's taking ownership, like taking ownership of anything is a really good example. Like, I was not good at that. And when I did, like, I remember sitting in the car next to my ex-partner and she was screaming at me because I had let her down. And at the time, I hadn't made her any promises, but I had definitely inferred that I was available and that nothing else was going on and there was other things going on. And so when she turned up, as much as like we had already split up and she expected something else, and she found the opposite of what she was expecting, and I realized I had misled her. And then it all came out, like everything from the whole relationship was suddenly at the surface for her, and she was so angry at me. And I remember sitting there listening to her and for ages trying to calm her down, but then eventually getting to this moment where I was like, I just was quiet, and then I was just like, you know what, you're right. It's like, you're right. Suddenly all the things she was saying to me, I was like, yes, I am those things. Like, I felt it. Like, I was like, I am those things. And then we went our separate ways, and she ended up with someone else, and it was just kind of like, I had months to think about what had happened, and that was when I started to change my social media stuff, and I was suddenly talking about the bad things I'd done. I was suddenly like open about, I remember the first couple of podcast episodes I did on mine, the first one was just this like 2-hour rant of my story, and I stitched it all together. It was just, if I went back now, I'd probably plan it a lot better, but you know, it's just how it works.
Yeah.
But I remember it was all about taking ownership. It was all about just telling my life story in the way that made sense to me. But so much of it was me suddenly saying these things I'd never said before. Like, yes, I cheated. Yes, I was doing illegal things. Yes, I was dishonest. And I was so afraid to hit that post button again, you know, this 2-hour episode of me telling everyone all these bad things that I'd done. And when I posted it, I was just like bracing myself for the hate. And it didn't come. It was just like, suddenly everyone was just like, bro, I think it's really brave what you have said. You know, these things more people need to hear this, because so many people need to own their things, you know. And I realized the power in saying those things is that not only do you feel like you can start to forgive yourself, but other people see you as genuine because you're owning something that most people find so hard to do. And it is your opportunity to heal. You can get forgiveness from society and from yourself by acknowledging what you did, and it shows other people that you're willing to learn as well, like that you have learned something, or at least you're starting to learn.
You're aware.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're looking in the mirror for the first time.
Yep.
You know, and the other thing is, you know, the classic saying of the only way out is through, and that is a part of going through, is like admitting. Yeah. You know, and how can I sit with that? And how can I And that's, for me, that's what true self-love is.
Yeah.
What true unconditional love is. How can I love all the parts of me that I think are unlovable?
For sure. Yeah.
But really, you know, those are the parts that need the love.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Because there is no walking perfect human.
No.
We all have our shit, you know, that we've done that we're not proud of. But what did you learn from that, and what are you going to do about it, you know? And the only way to become a better person and to get to where you want to be and have the things that you want to have and have this dream life is doing exactly what you did.
Yeah.
You know, admitting it, sitting with it, being aware with it, and going, okay, is this who I still want to be?
Yeah.
Or am I going to take the steps necessary to change? And the other thing that I feel is important that I love about your story that I'm hearing now is you took action, embodied action, because a lot of people can listen to these podcasts and meditate and journal and read and all the things, but the change happens somatically in your body when you take action and you do the thing, even though it feels scary and you're like, oh my gosh, like people are going to be mad and angry and throw stones or whatever people think, you know? Yeah. And then when you actually do it, people come forward and they're like, so loving and caring. You know, of course there's going to be the random person that's not, but that just shows more about where they are on their journey versus
100%
where you are. And because of where you're at, those kind of people, you can have unconditional compassion for them, you know, and go, you know, you just kind of like let it slide off your back a little bit more, at least for me personally, because I can have empathy with where they're at in their journey. And I know that that's not anything to do with me. Of course, I'm open to constructive criticism, but most of the time people on the internet or comments or YouTube comments, it's just a projection of, you know, where they're at.
For sure.
And where they haven't sat with themselves.
A lot of people, if they're angry at you still after you're taking accountability, it's likely the fact that you're highlighting their inability to do just that. You know? Like,
yes.
Like they want to continue the narrative for a reason, because they feel better that way, you know?
Yeah. Because I don't know if you've studied this yet, but we have what's called mirror neurons.
Yeah.
And so when we are in our truth and doing what you did, and if that mirror to them is triggering, you know, and exactly what you say, they're like, oh, like, no, that's not true. That's not true. And it's like, well, maybe you need to sit with that a little bit longer.
They're like, I don't like being around this because I can't do that. You know?
And that's okay too. Like for anyone watching, like you have to be, you know, in a place where you're ready. Some people, depending on where they're at in their journey, may not have the capacity. To move through that, because it is hard.
Absolutely.
It's not easy. It's very uncomfortable. And it can be, for me personally, physically painful to sit with some of the things that I've done or I've been through or whatever. And sometimes you're not at a place in life that you can sit with that and move through it. But all in the same breath, there's never going to be the right time or the perfect time.
No, something to remember too is that our brains register like social threat, whether that's relational or wider social group threat, as a survival thing. And so if you're about to be really vulnerable with something that could have in the caveman days caused like a rejection from the group or rejection from your partner or something like that, your brain says, don't do that. Like, don't do that. You're putting us at risk here. Like if we get cast out from the group, we're dead. Or if we lose our partner, we're dead. So maybe just don't be honest about that bad thing. When really, like in modern day society, being honest about the bad thing is really important, because we live in a really complex society now. It's not the way it used to be. But your brain's telling you, hang on, this could be a survival threat. So it protects you by saying, don't do this. Like, don't take the risk.
Especially if you go to inner parts work and, you know, the inner child stuff. And if in your childhood, when you were vulnerable and you spoke up and you told the truth.
Oh, yeah. If it didn't go well.
And it didn't go well. Your system learned this isn't safe. Don't do this. Or in some cases, like, you know, in my personal experience, if you were yourself or you were seen or heard or whatever, and you tried to speak up for yourself, then there was an even bigger punishment or threat or danger that happened. It's like a second thing that happened, then it was really reemphasized in your system, in your body, this isn't safe. So even though if you've done all this work and logically, like nothing bad's going to happen, it's your body that's like, no, like and this isn't good.
This is the core of an avoidant attachment style, is that early caregiving was either inconsistent if it was fearful avoidant, or dismissive avoidant is often being vulnerable is dangerous. Like it's how it happens.
Yeah. Yeah. So in this journey that you've just shared, if you feel open to share.
Yeah.
So how does this correlate back to your childhood, do you think? Have you gone down that path of putting those pieces together for yourself?
I think the biggest key contributor to the way I am now and the decisions I've made has been this whole ADHD thing. The reason I say that is because I was never like disrespectful when I was young, but I was such mischief. Like, and I just took the risk and I did the thing and was interested in doing the stuff that other people wouldn't have done. And I think that over time, I think it's contributed more to it's contributed a lot to my decision making, but also my view of myself. I remember when I started exploring it as a kid, from my earliest memories, maybe when my brain was starting to get a bit more developed, so we'll say like 7 onwards, I remember that almost every adult I met, I looked at them and thought to myself, at some point this person's going to look at me with disappointed.
That makes me really sad.
I think it was like whether that was my friends' parents, teachers, anything like that, because I was like, I'm going to let them down somehow by my actions, like my behavior. They'll catch me, I'll be on the roof of their garage or something like that. I didn't think of that as an example, but I just was so used to disappointing adults or them seeing me as high risk to their kids, because I would encourage, I wouldn't necessarily encourage, like, hey, you should do this. I would just do something, and then we might build a swing across the river that was actually really dangerous, or like try and construct some boat out of a rubbish bin, or like, just I remember doing things like that as a kid, and going into industrial areas and climbing on roofs and
You're very curious and innovative.
Very, yes, I know. It was, and I was, and I like my parents didn't know how to manage it. They didn't know how to manage it. They tried as hard as they could, and I know they did so much. But I was just, my mum said when I was a baby, if holding me as a toddler or whatever, I was just reaching for the nearest like light switch or whatever was around. She did a thing with me once. She got told, you let your kid run at a park, an event, and see where their limit is when they start coming back. And she told me to run, and I just got to like Barrington Park. I was on the other side of it, like keep going. And she was like, okay, I'm going to have to go after him now, and like ran to come get me.
Yeah.
So like I was just a handful and a lot to manage. And I think after a while I felt really disconnected from society. I felt disconnected from friends. I never had a really good group of people. Like I did have groups of friends at times, but didn't last very long, and I always felt like a real outlier. And so that affected how I saw myself. And I think coming into relationships, I had the best intentions. My first 3 partners cheated on me, and I mean these are just young relationships when I was 14, 15.
So this jams in the narrative of I'm going to disappoint people.
I'm not enough. Yeah. And so by the time I was in my adult years, I was just like, I can't trust. I felt I'm on my own.
Yeah.
And
so where are you in line with your, like, do you have any siblings?
Yes, I got a sister. She's 4 years younger than me.
Okay. So you were the first.
Yeah.
And what was life like for your parents when she was pregnant with you?
For my mum, or both of them?
For both of them. What did life look like that you know of?
My mum was like 22 when she had me.
Very young.
My dad would have been 25. Yeah.
So very young.
Yep. They were married, I think. They were They met at like a church youth group.
Okay.
My mum has 2 sisters, both younger than her, and my dad and his best friend were dating the oldest and the youngest of those 2. So one was my uncle. And yeah, it was, I don't know, I don't even know how to describe what their life was like because I don't know if I have any evidence of it. I don't know if I've asked.
I'd be really curious to know what life was like when she was pregnant with you, because I don't know if you've gotten into more somatics yet in your studies, but what her life was like would have already started to form and wire your nervous system. Yeah. And so depending on what that was like and what her birth was like, her birthing experience, all of that affects the wiring of your nervous system.
Yeah, I've never asked. I know, like, my mum has the similar ADHD traits to me, and then my nana, her mum, has the same as well. So it's definitely come down that line. There's no one else in the family that has that same temperament or, like, you know, cluster of behaviours. But yeah, I need to find that out.
So you know about like the generational stuff that like, so basically what happened to your grandma while your mom was in her womb would affect you as well.
Yeah, I didn't. I didn't realize the severity of like while you're pregnant, the effect that has.
Yeah, yeah. So even what your grandmother's pregnant, what her life was like while she had your mother in her womb, because your mom, when she was 4 months in gestation in your grandma, her eggs were formed, which means you were in there, right?
Right, yeah.
And so whatever happened to her, your grandma while she was pregnant with your mom also affects you.
Right. Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so even some of this stuff that would have come out while you were a baby and 1 and 2 and like running off and stuff could have, I'm getting goosebumps, could have had nothing to do with even the life that your parents had created at that point. It could have been this generational trauma, what they call, you know, and not that your grandparents did anything wrong. It's just, what was life like, you know? Yeah. What was their life like? Was there food on the table? You know, did they have, you know, the Maslow's hierarchy thing? If you think about that, were all those things being met? Or was there some underlying threat, you know, that has been passed on to you? And now it's this narrative that's played out in your life that you keep thinking is your story, but it actually could probably not even be your story.
Yeah. Yeah, that gives you a lot to think about, eh?
Yeah.
Have you learned that kind of stuff yourself, about yourself?
Yeah. So my grandparents, my grandma grew up in the Depression and stuff like that. And my mom was the youngest of 4.
Right.
And so by the time she came along, like, you just like got to get in where you can fit in. Yeah. And my grandpa worked almost 7 days a week, an hour and a half away, in a big city. And so my grandma had to hold down the fort, and she was also working, and they had a farm and horses. And so, you know, I can understand my mother better now because of having that explanation of how that affects attachment styles,
definitely,
inner parts, and how that, you know, ties back to polyvagal theory and things like that. Because it's, for me, it's intertwined, you know, polyvagal theory and attachment.
Oh, 100%.
Like, it's hand in hand.
They should be in the same book.
Yeah.
They are sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. So learning about my attachment style was very, like, a huge breakthrough for me.
What is yours?
What do you think I am?
I don't think I know enough about you.
Yeah, I don't think you know enough about me.
No.
Most people are actually really surprised because most women are avoidant in attachment.
Really?
Most women are avoidant.
Right.
I mean, sorry, not avoidant, anxious attachment.
Yeah.
Most women are anxious attachment.
Yeah.
So I am disorganized.
Right.
Avoidant. So, but I will say also, there have been times where I've embodied anxious attachment based on the relationship dynamic that I was interacting with.
Do you know, what's your definition of a disorganized attachment?
So disorganized attachment is, so one day I can wake up and, for example, be madly in love with my partner, and I think he's the greatest of all greatest, and I'm just like, oh, I'm so in love. And then the next day I can be like this isn't good. This is dangerous. Like we're getting too deep. Like things are, this isn't good. I've got to get out of here. I've got to make a plan. Like I'll start finding the very finicky things of why I should leave because it goes back to the attachment style of that's how my childhood was. And my parents did the best they could, all the things, but my mom worked a lot of jobs. She was a single mom. So when she was there, she would be there. But even sometimes when she was there, she was so stressed and she was anxious and she didn't have the capacity to hold space for any emotions or anything, and we were just passed on from daycare to grandparents to caregiver to whatever, because she had to work. And so there's this underlying narrative of if I get too close, you're gonna, you're either gonna abandon me, leave, or you're gonna hurt me. And so it's very like, and what frustrates me is the stories around people with, disorganized attachment or whatever is, that they're chaotic and unstable and, they just want chaos. And it was like, it's further from the truth. What I actually want is stability. And what I actually want is to be seen and held and heard.
It's what you need.
It's what I need. But what I've learned in studying somatics is the only way to get there is through parts work and somatic work and actually living it. Because you can read all about it.
Absolutely.
And you can do all the healing on your own. But the actual real healing happens inside romantic relationships.
You need someone who's aware of your attachment style, someone who has a secure attachment style themselves, or at least is working towards that. And a combination of that plus therapy would be ideal. But the reality is, like, the healing happens in the relational. First step is awareness, as you said earlier on, and then in the relational context, being with someone who is able to hold space for you, hold space for those push-pull oscillations that fearful avoidance or disorganized people feel, because you simultaneously crave closeness and independence. And you fear engulfment and abandonment. And it's those two systems are working at the same time. So you are constantly in this push-pull within yourself. And I think my understanding of it is that it comes from inconsistent early caregiving, where the primary carer represented safety and fear.
Spot on. And what I also want people to know, regardless of your attachment style, you can work towards secure attachment.
For sure,
But that doesn't mean that your core attachment will ever go away.
No, it's always
there in the background.
Managed. Absolutely,
And it comes forward in little moments, and you're like, I thought I got rid of you. No, it's still there. But it's the awareness and be able to move through it quicker is what I've learned. And I know you don't know much about me, but I was single for basically 4 years after I left my marriage. And my therapist that I was working with, I'll never forget, she was like, I think it's time for you to date now. And I was like, but what do you mean? I've created this amazing life and it's so peaceful and I'm joyful and, I don't need any of that. And she's like, yeah, but you're avoiding the next step of the healing that you need. And I'm like, what do you mean? I'm healed. I have secure attachment. She's like, yeah, but you're not in a relationship. So how can you know that you're healed until you're in a relationship?
Put it to the test yet.
So I was avoiding dating because I thought that was the better answer. And I kept saying, it's because there's no good men. But actually, the truth is that I was fearful of going there and letting someone in and being challenged and all of that. And so I was like, damn it, she's right. I need to do the next step and, have the healing. And it's been so transformative for me to be in a healthy relationship where someone isn't going to run and they just, not saying that it's easy for either of us, because he has his attachment stuff too, but we're both working towards secure attachment together. And what I love about the things that you talk about is the realness inside relationships, that there is no perfect relationship. And the key is this person willing and able to grow together? Because that's all you can ask for, because we all have our shit that we bring to the table. But are you willing to own it? Like you say, own it, accept it, take responsibility where you can. And how can we grow together? Can we be solution-based? because conflict is inevitable.
Yeah, the hard thing too is that you have to learn enough about not only yourself and your flaws and be willing to take ownership of them and work on them, but you also have to learn enough about healthy behavior and communication to know when to set boundaries so you don't get walked all over by the other person. Because you can do all the healing you want. You can apply these like lessons and things to yourself. But then if you go into a relationship with someone who is not doing that, or who is unhealthy in their communication patterns, or who is not understanding of you, it's very hard sometimes to work out who's in the wrong in that situation. And if they're not supportive or they're not taking ownership themselves, you're still going to come up against that roadblock where you can't go any further. That relational corrective experience doesn't proceed because the person isn't right for that,
So what is an example of that? What does that look like?
I would say, like, here's an example. I recently have been supporting two friends. They initially had a relationship that was reasonably stable. I won't even refer to their genders, so we can't work out who these people are.
Okay.
But one of them is currently on bail, and it is a domestic violence case now. This person can't leave their house. The bail conditions are that strict. The other person is working in the sex industry. They weren't always doing that. They did that from about a year ago, and it was a way of getting some empowerment and control back in their life after the level of abuse that the other person put them through early in the relationship. Now, the person working in the sex industry is showing far more toxic behavior and a drug addiction, and has become incredibly unreasonable. But I understand the trauma and the pain and how they got there. And the person on bail being forced to sit with their actions, their behaviour. I've been supporting this person daily the last month. So going and trying to have an impact on them. Got them to the point where they're researching their own attachment style.
Great.
Removing, like, understanding their locus of control, like where the line is as to what they can and can't control, because it was a big issue. They established they had an anxious attachment style, which was not surprising. And I'm, at a guess, I would say the other person is fearful avoidant or disorganized. And what I've noticed is that now that the person on bail is doing the work and has been consistently for a month, I've helped them with the tools to communicate. I've helped them how to, the tools to de-escalate in situations where the other person's getting really fired up. They're very, very quick to argument, very, very quick to argument over nothing. And I said to them both, maybe don't text message about anything serious. Maybe don't text message at all, because A, you're on bail, you shouldn't be talking. But when they're text messaging, honestly, whether an X gets put on the message or not can have a huge impact on how the next 20 minutes of conversation goes. And it's just reading into little subtle changes in communication. And so what I've noticed is that no matter how much work the person on bail does on themselves, I've seen them with healthy communication. I've seen them try and hold space for this person. I've seen them give them, patience and understanding and come back to things later and do all the right things. But I'm not able to have the same impact on the other person, I guess. And the reason I say that is because I've been in this kind of teaching role, in this coaching role, this supporting role, almost like that role of a therapist, but a friend as well. And I'm able to have this positive impact here, but then I can't hear, and I can see that it's just this one-sided thing, and I can see how much healthy stuff is being employed in this relationship space, but it's not being met. It's not being held. And I said to this person, just pull back. You can't make this person meet you at this healthy place. It's not possible. And, when that happens, pulls back, this person pursues and then pulls them back into this unhealthy place. And this person did not start off as the problem,
Yeah.
This person started off as the loving, caring, kind, thoughtful, just dedicated partner, and was absolutely put in this whirlwind of chaos and abuse.
Yeah.
And they're trying to make this work now. But it's just a really good example of how someone can start off healthy, get pulled into something, and that the relationship itself, to me, the safety's so far gone, I wouldn't be trying to recover it. If it was objectively looking at it, I wouldn't be trying to recover it. I believe there's a trauma bond there on both sides. I don't even know if they actually like each other as people. But that's just my observations. I just think that you can do the work. This is a very small scale, obviously a very small scale example, but you can do the work, whether that's in a month or a year, 2 years or 5 years. But if you're met by someone who can't receive it, you're still, you not only are you not going to get the healthy outcome, so it's not possible to get the healthy outcome, but you're also potentially going to start to doubt your input. Is this healthy? Why is this not working? I really thought
maybe there's something wrong with me.
Yeah,
still. Maybe I'm the problem.
Absolutely, it'd be like putting petrol. You got a petrol car, you get better petrol to put in it. It's running better, but there's no spark plugs or something. It's like you're like, why is this not working? Like, I don't understand. There's actually a problem further downstream.
Yeah.
And so
it can almost stunt your growth too.
It can
or make you go backwards.
Absolutely. Well, you start to. It's human nature. If something doesn't work, especially after learning it. You imagine if you went to a therapist for 3 months and they gave you all these tools, and then you met someone who was so dysfunctional, but you tried to do all the things and none of them worked. You'd think, was it the therapist or was it them? Or
yeah.
Well, where was the problem here? Is it me? Is it my delivery? And you go back to the therapist and they say, no, you did everything right. It was fine. You go, oh, really?
You start to feel crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot. I know that like 45% of the population is secure, something like that. The rest is insecure. And then like fearful avoidant, for example, which is one of the most confusing attachment styles to date, only because of the simultaneous kind of push-pull, is like 3 or 5% of the population. And so you've got like this 1 in 20 chance of dealing with a person who isn't intentionally doing these things, but is feeling this way. And for someone who was secure, for example, they might come into that situation and go, well, I don't understand this behavior. It doesn't make sense to me. And they might leave, or they might choose to stay and support them, choose to try and understand it. But an avoidant in general can be just perceived as such when emotions get switched off, if you suppress, they never existed. And for that person to feel that, how is this possible? I mean, if you put an anxious person against an avoidant person and they both try and leave a relationship, you've got two very different ways of leaving.
Yes.
The anxious person is going to be suffering through that.
Right.
Day after day after day after day. The avoidant person
just
has got complete control of their emotional brain. Gone.
Yeah.
You never existed.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean it's not going to come out again 6 months later, because the grieving that the anxious person's doing, the avoidant person has to do later.
Right.
It doesn't go away.
No.
And they talk about it being metabolically costly to suppress. So your brain uses resources holding that down. They talk about it's like holding a beach ball underwater. At some point it's coming up.
Yeah.
And when it does, it can be much worse than when the anxious attachment person experiences it. So because it's been held down for so long, they could talk about the white bear effect. Try not to think about the thing. Actually, you think about it more, and your brain has to hold it down more. And then eventually, when it comes to the surface, it's heavy. But it could be 6 months later, it could be a year later, it could be 2 years later. And meanwhile, the anxious person's moved on, and the avoidant person just goes, oh my God, I lost that person, you know? And then you're like a wreck trying to make it work. And this person who was anxious was like, what?
Yeah.
Why didn't you say this when we
were together and I was devastated.
Yeah. And so it can be really, confusing. Sorry, I've got a bit off track.
That's all right.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Yep.
I do have a question.
Yeah.
So what do you feel based on what we're talking about? At what point is it time to leave a relationship? What do you feel is the right answer for that? Because I feel like in today's culture, whatever you will, especially the swiping and stuff like that, people are always like, if you wanted to, you would, or that's a red flag, I'm out of here, like hold these standards, and if he doesn't meet these, then I'm out of here, or if she doesn't do this, I'm out of here, and people are really quick to leave, in my opinion, instead of let's, fight this through, if you will. Like, I know there's times where things are, really bad and you should leave, like I left my marriage, but I do feel like, in my personal opinion, there is a lot of people who leave easier now. So what do you feel is the right point to leave a relationship?
I don't think you can put a blanket rule on it. I think it's going to be really subjective, but it's going to be based on your needs and your non-negotiables. Because everyone's got different non-negotiables. But I think the most important thing to work it out for each person would be to establish what your non-negotiables are early on.
From the get-go.
Yeah, because it's relative to that. It's not relative to I don't think it's relative to any blanket rule in society. If you wanted to apply a blanket rule to it, I would say that if the safety's gone, it's over.
Yeah, I agree. And that's not just physical safety.
No, I'm talking emotional safety. If the physical safety's gone, it's definitely over.
Well, there's a lot of people that there's gray areas with that.
If you don't feel physically safe with your partner, to me,
please tell people.
It's fucking over. It is over.
Leave.
You leave immediately. Like, if your physical safety is at risk, you don't stay. No one in a relationship ever should make you feel physically unsafe. Ever. Male or female.
There's no excuse.
No, nothing.
No excuse.
Nothing. If your physical safety is at risk, they do not care about how you feel. They don't if they care about how you feel, they have the worst emotional regulation, or they don't care about how you feel.
Now, the next thing that I want you to, from a man's perspective, what is someone jeopardizing physical safety? Is that hands on you? Is it throwing things? Is it what? Because the definition of that is also this real gray area where I've talked to women, well, he didn't touch me, but he punched the wall next to me, or he threw this at me, or,
if you were to take, say putting hands on you versus putting hands next to you, like punching a hole in the wall or something, punching a hole in the wall could be considered just an emotional outburst, or it could be a show of force. So it could be this is what will happen kind of moment. Look at what I'm capable of. Don't fuck with me is what it's signaling to the other person. It's physical. If you feel physically at risk, if a guy punches a hole in the wall, if a guy smashes something, I mean, we break things. We do as people. Like, my dad threw the lawnmower over his head when I remember that when I was a kid, because it was the lawnmower that was annoying him, And if my mum had been yelling at him and he'd thrown the lawnmower, I think it was probably, in that situation, it probably wouldn't have been to show her, hey, look what I'm capable of. I think it would have been more about the lawnmower.
Yeah.
But I think, if you're if someone gets in your face, if someone even threatens you with their presence, as in makes you feel like they could hurt you, that's too far. Mm-hmm. That shows you they're willing to do that. They want you to feel unsafe. So even one of the big things that I dealt with in a couple of my long-term relationships was that I dealt with a lot of verbal abuse, a lot of emotional abuse. I dealt with a lot of physical abuse too, but verbal abuse, putting me down, threatening me that they were going to go to the police, threatening me with gangs, threatening me with, one of my exes said, I can't wait to see your head get kicked in on this concrete. Like, she was going to pay gang members. One of my exes tried to pay 3 different gang members to come through my house. And like, that's someone who is actually trying to put my safety at risk, my well-being at risk. And so even threatening that to someone, even saying to them, trying to make someone feel unsafe in any way is a deal breaker, especially men. Women, I can understand when women threaten men, often it's coming from a place of real powerlessness. They don't feel like they have men have a lot of control in society. And so it's not okay. Threatening your partner is not okay in any form ever. But I can understand why women do it, because men are very threatening. And I think men threatening women, if you are threatened by your partner as a woman and it's a male that you're dealing with, you should never consider being with that person. If they threaten your physical safety, my advice to you would be to get completely out of that relationship, without a doubt. Don't even look back. There are millions of people on this planet. You don't need to settle for someone.
There is healthy people out there. I promise. They exist.
There's also unhealthy people out there who still won't physically harm you.
Yeah, true.
If you look at, if they looked at, like, you look at all the skeletons that have been dug up for over human history for like studying and things, they've worked it out. It's men killing men and it's men killing women.
Yeah.
It's actually a stable evolutionary strategy for men to kill their partner rather than have that partner mate with someone else.
Yeah. I think, isn't it like the most dangerous person for a woman who's in a relationship is their partner?
Yeah. I mean, like, and this is why, like, a lot of women are drawn to really dominant traits in men, because back in the day, we go back caveman days, it was better the devil you know. I mean, it's better sometimes to be in a relationship with a guy who is abusive but can protect you from getting pack raped by other men. And this is the thing. It's like a woman often had to find a male who was capable of looking after her. Sometimes that meant finding a violent male. And so there's still that evolutionary drive in there to be attracted to really dominant, unhealthy traits. But like in modern day society, we have a police force. Like we live in massive groups now. It's not a group of 20 or 50. It's like a group of 200,000. So you're actually arguably a lot more safe these days. You don't have to select.
And there's healthy, strong men.
100%.
Physically, mentally, emotionally.
Well,
I
would encourage any woman to look up the difference between dominance and prestige-based masculinity, because dominance is based on hierarchy and coercion and things like that. It's what most men fit into. Most men, 85% of men, fit into this dominance-based model, and a lot of them are misguided. Honestly, they're pulled into it. These are the guys who get insecure about the prestige guy at the party because he carries. You're right. So he carries a natural. He's capable. He's generous. He's kind. He doesn't buy into this thing. Walks in with confidence, shoulders back, head up, eye contact, respectful. All these kind of things. Guys in this dominance-based thing are trying to work out where he fits in the hierarchy, but he doesn't. And so, like, these are the traits women should be looking for in men. They're not common, but they're out there. And the less energy you give to this dominance-based hierarchy, the less it will be effective in society as being a thing. It's
And do you think the men that this 85% of men that have this, that they can work towards becoming different?
100%. But again, it comes back to that mirror neuron thing, and they look at these men and it highlights to them what they're not capable of. And this is what I try and model, is that, like, you can be, as a male, you can work on yourself physically, you can be well groomed, you can be like, you can be athletic, you can be strong, you can be dominant if you want to be, but you can also be kind and caring and generous and be yourself and vulnerable and cry if you need to. Like, it's like it's possible. It doesn't have to be this big division,
right?
Of like, oh, he's a simp. No, he's not a simp. He just respects women. I comment on stuff all the time that is like, misogynistic or that kind of thing, and I'm. Other guys call me a simp. They're like going simp, and I'm like, one in particular. I had really briefly. There was a a post that I commented on, and it's had 75,000 likes, just that comment. But then one guy still got in there and was like, simp. And I'm like, mate, can you not see the social proof here? Like,
get curious, man.
Yeah.
Get curious.
Yeah.
You know, that's the thing, is just, instead of judging yourself and shaming yourself, just get curious.
For sure.
You know, just get curious. And so what do you feel like this is another important topic, I think, for men and women, because anger is one of those things that, like, how I grew up was like not allowed. So what do you feel like is expressing healthy aggression versus unhealthy aggression? Because I do feel that it's important for people to be able to express healthy aggression, because at the end of the day, we're like, you know, kind of animalistic. Like, you know, if you go to a lion and, you know, her cubs, and you try to get her cubs, she's going to attack you. She's going to protect you. She doesn't want to, but she's going to protect you. And that's healthy aggression.
Yeah.
So
it's healthy for her.
Yeah.
Not healthy for the thing that wants the cub. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I feel like if men and women had these tools to learn how to express healthy aggression and channel that, like, what does that look like for you personally?
Aggression and anger I wouldn't put in exactly the same category. I think, like, aggression would be directed at something or someone, whereas, like, anger is the emotion we feel when something gets between us and our goals. And so it's about establishing like, what is the emotion and why am I feeling it? In the moment, it's very hard to control anger. I think, like, really it's there, and it's designed to assist us in achieving, or assist us in removing whatever is between us and our goals. And that's the problem, is that, like, aggression that comes out due to anger based on, say, a relationship issue, it's probably the person that's in front of you that's standing between you and what you want. And so I think identifying what it is you want is really important. And then understanding if it's something you can control, if it comes from a relationship perspective. Because most of the time, people are getting angry. I think a lot of the time people are getting angry because they're trying to control something they can't control. It's maybe they're trying to influence their partner's decisions. But I think in the moment, it's just going to come back to that somatic stuff, understanding how to regulate yourself, understanding that, like, there's always time to talk about these things, regardless of whether the person's receptive in the moment or not. You can always do the thing later. You know, like, generally, you can always do the thing later. Like, even if it's send the text later, read the text. Don't send another one 30 minutes. Give yourself 30 minutes before you send it. If it's a text message conversation, if it's in a moment, get space. Tell your partner that's important.
Yeah.
You know, those
literally just communicate. You know what? I feel really frazzled right now, or I can't think straight. I need some time to, like, process this and come back to this, because I'm just not thinking clearly. You can't think clearly when you're dysregulated.
Like, you're dysregulated. No, not at all. And even if you try, you won't get the right result.
Yeah.
You've got, but everything in your body wants relief in that moment, and the taking action in the moment is the thing that regulates you a bit. It's almost like self-soothing to act. That's why the holes in the wall get punched. The guy feels better immediately. Yeah. But then afterwards feels like shit. Yeah. Because he has to fix it. And he might not be able to heal the fear his partner now has of him. Yeah. Yeah. And so what does a healthy relationship look like to you? Two people who understand their own needs, who are committed to communicating effectively and care about how the other person feels. I think that covers it. Would you add anything to that?
No, I think that's really good. No, I wouldn't add anything to that. I asked that because I think so many people are seeking perfection, and there's this thing where people make lists of, like, their perfect partner and all that stuff. But I think what you talked about originally is, what are your complete non-negotiables, and what are your values? And are those in alignment, and is that something that you guys, if there's anything that's, if they have that's non-negotiable, are you willing to walk away from that?
For sure, yeah.
Or are you going to, be okay with that, because if you say, oh, well, they have this thing that's, non-negotiable, but I'm willing to overlook it, but are you?
Yeah.
Because it's going to reappear over and over and over, and you can't hold it over their head later.
No, you just made a really good point there. And this is something I swear by, is that your relationship is not healthy unless you're willing to walk away. If you're not willing to walk away, you will stay through anything. And that's not good. And if you're not willing to walk away, you'll probably try and control the other person. You have to be able to leave. Like, you have to be willing to leave if things are not working. And I think like one of the big things from that example I gave with that couple that I know, it was very evident over time he was not willing to leave, even though he should have been. She was revealed genders. She was. Oh no, she doesn't matter. You
can edit that out.
No, it's fine. So she's in the sex industry, right? That was a huge problem for him, massive. And on an evolutionary level, biological level, it is the highest level of threat that a male can feel. Is that his partner is out there physically with other women, and so he wasn't willing to leave, but he tried to control it. You can't.
No.
You have to be willing to leave.
Yeah.
And I was with one of my exes for a long time, and she was not willing to leave, and it was toxic.
Yeah.
And I dealt with threats and all sorts when I tried to leave. And
Yeah.
it was just not good.
I think I saw somewhere that said, like, a healthy relationship is two people that can leave but choose not to.
Yes, absolutely. That defines it perfectly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Yeah, it's a horrible thought. You're like, I don't want to have to leave this person, but I will if things aren't right for us. And you've got to be willing to wish them all the best.
Yeah.
You've got to be willing to say, I want this. My son's mother, she said to me when we were splitting up, she said, I know I love you because I want you to be happy whether you're with me or not.
That's real unconditional love. Aww. I feel like we need a part 2. This is like
yeah. I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Yeah.
What is the meaning of life to you?
I believe that we are just here to experience it. And I know it's different for everyone, but I am yet to define it. I think that whatever it is for each person is measured in relative to what they experience, but anything that's like, if I was to say like to have children or have a family or anything, that's programmed into us to need that, to want it. It's all about reproduction and things. I think it's more than that. I think knowing what I know about, the different disciplines in science and what we're physically made of, we like physically are the universe experiencing itself. And so I think we're here for that. And there's enough mystery in that for me for it to be exciting without having to define it, I'm just here for whatever comes next.
I love that answer. That's great.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much.
It's okay.
This is such a good chat.
Yeah, you like
I
it?
feel like I could talk for ages for you about
That's
this
good.
stuff.
Yeah, those deep chats are always good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could go way more into relationship stuff too,
Yeah.
which would be so great.
I'm here for it.
Yeah. People need to hear it from a man's point of view.
Yeah, I've realised that's when I get like a significant part of my niche effectively is that like there's not a lot of men talking about this stuff. And I know that I went to the trauma expo conference or whatever with Bessel van der Kolk a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And I realised on the first intermission, like the first interval break, because the line for the women's toilets went right through the forum, like through the main area and like round the corner and everything, and there was nothing for the men's.
Yeah.
So it's just like there's about 1,000 people there, and I'd say 80% of them are women.
Yeah.
And I was like, they're all counsellors and therapists and things, and I was thinking there needs to be more men in this space.
Yes. And men that have had the journey of life that you have, because it'll be so much more relatable for them.
Yeah, well, it gives you a certain level of authority.
Yeah.
And like they're willing to listen. It's something I've noticed is that men are willing to listen to what I have to say.
Yeah.
When it comes to like stuff I've done or felt.
Yes. So I appreciate you being you.
That's okay.
And being, so vulnerable and authentic and, just courageous enough to say, I'm going to go first and come with me, you know, when you're ready, because we need more people like that, men and women, but definitely men.
Yeah.
And, I just really appreciate how, authentic you are. 'Cause I'm the same, I don't share every single part of my story, but I share a lot of my journey, and I think that's what's relatable for people to say, hey, I didn't have like this perfect childhood, and, I've had all this kind of stuff happen and I've made mistakes, but this is what I've turned it into. This is what I've chosen instead, because I was talking about this to my partner and he was just saying, that's actually really amazing. And you should talk about that more, that statistically, I should be a drug addict or an alcoholic or dead
because of the
upbringing in the past that I've had. Like I shouldn't be who I am today.
Yeah.
And so I just want to be like a walking, talking example.
You're an anomaly.
Like of what's possible.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what's the name of your podcast?
So there's 2 running now. So the Social Wildlife was one that I started 2 years ago.
Okay.
I haven't published any episodes of that soon, for a while, but I will be again soon.
Okay.
I've just started a podcast with a friend of mine called Love and War.
Okay. Yes, I think I've seen a clip of that on Instagram. Yes. Okay, cool.
So episode 2 for that's coming out shortly. We'll be doing episodes every couple of weeks, but we're talking about relationship things.
Good.
So as a male and a female, we're approaching the same situation from both our perspectives, and with our life experience, just kind of picking things apart. So we're looking at like feminism and patriarchy and red flags, green flags, all these things that are kind of we need to talk about.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool. And so if people want to work with you, do you have openings or do you have a wait list? Or
absolutely. Okay. So I'm running workshops at the moment on attachment and self-love or self-worth, healing attachment and self-worth for women. I'm also going to be running workshops on other things coming up soon, but I'm just those are in the works. But I work with people one-on-one in a coaching capacity. So if there's anything that I've said that people resonate with, if they want to work with me, they can reach out to you, or they can find the link somewhere.
The link will be somewhere on the bottom.
Yeah, for sure.
You can help me with all that.
Definitely. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
That's okay.
And thank you everybody for listening or watching. Reach out to us if anything resonated and you have any questions. I love having the chats and the DMs, and I know you're good about all that. So yeah, thank you.
Cool, no worries.